Hello and welcome to Match Made in 7, a new podcast series from northeast-based comedy collective Your Aunt Fanny. During one particularly painful Megabus journey last year, 7 Fannies had the sudden realisation there were also 7 deadly sins. Megabus madness or cosmic coincidence? In this debut series, we will hilariously probe each of the 7 deadly sins and what it means to be a young woman or non-binary person partial to one or more of them. Settle in for a pairing of original sketches and frank chat as we invite you into our Fanny universe, where everyone is in on the joke. Before we start, a heads up, this episode will contain strong language, so don't listen to it in the car with your kids in the back, unless you're a laugh. Episode 5, Lust. I'm Jackie, and with me I have...
Emma.
Lydia.
Izzy.
So yeah, thank you for joining us. So, lust.
Lusty lust.
I think this is a funny one because just inevitably we're going to be talking about sex, aren't we? So I think I'm just going to tell my mum not to listen to it.
Yeah, I think that's for the
I'll
best.
tell my
My mum will love it.
Margaret, stop listening now.
Or maybe she can listen in like a couple of months' time when, you know,
The dust settles.
when the dust settles. The lusty dust.
When the lust just settled, you can listen.
That sounds like a product you could buy at like the Magic Box, doesn't it? Lust
I was thinking like a nice bronzer. Lust dust.
Oh, yeah.
I thought of like, do you know, in school and you could like dust it on someone to make them fall in love with you.
I did
Yeah.
that. You know,
I did that.
I went to Lush and I bought a bath bomb that was full of roses, and I put it in the bath, and then I collected all of the roses and I kept them in a small box in my bedroom, and I'd shake them and I'd wish upon a star that a certain lucky person would fall in love with me. They didn't. It didn't
Really?
work. But I did a lot of that when I was younger.
You know, lust and witchcraft, that's interesting, isn't it? I feel like throughout history, women being a bit more promiscuous, it's often linked to magic, isn't it? Spells
Slaggy
and-
witches.
Slaggy witches.
Do you know who I think was the original slag?
Who?
Who was the original slag?
You can guess if you
I was going to guess Mary Magdalene.
Mary Magdalene.
You got it right.
Catholic school, Mary Magdalene,
Yeah.
The original
The original
sex
slag.
worker.
I love her. She was my favourite character in the Bible.
Actually, yeah, speaking of Bible, we always start off with a definition of our sin. And the definition of lust is, well, there's kind of two. Lust for somebody, very strong sexual desire, especially when love is not involved. Lust for something, very strong desire for something or pleasure in something. So, yeah, it's a
very strong
it's
desire.
a very strong desire.
Strong
Yeah, yeah.
desire.
Almost like I get the sense from both of those definitions that it's like a desire that you're struggling to control.
Makes you all, what is it when women go crazy in history? Hysterical.
Hysterical, yeah.
Hysterical, yeah.
Hysteria.
Yeah,
run
basically
around
whenever a woman was not happy.
Or too happy.
Or too
Yeah.
happy, yeah.
Do you know that's where the word hysteria comes from? Hysterectomy? Wait, no, that's the procedure you get.
No, they are linked.
Are
I'm
they
not sure
linked?
how.
I'm sure they're linked, aren't
They're
they?
linked, yeah, because a hysterectomy is where you get
Your womb out.
your womb out.
Aye. Or can men get that?
Or your
You get
uterus.
no, men
that's
get
a
a vasectomy.
vasectomy.
A vasectomy, right?
Interesting, there's a Latin link there.
We'll love a Latin link on this podcast.
So the first thing that I kind of wanted to talk about was the journey that you go on as a young lass in shaking off the shame of lust, shaking off the shame of like everything to do with sex that kind of like, you know, was quite difficult in school. Like, and I know it's not the same for everyone, but if I was to give an example, I was thinking the other day, do you remember how like wanking was talked about in school in relation to like lads and in relation to lasses? Was it the same in your schools where like wanking with lads was just like part of common law and like, but like talking about wanking if you were a lass was an incredibly like
I didn't think it happened.
Yeah,
Yeah?
I didn't.
I
think
don't
it
remember it
happened.
ever happening until I went Newcastle College.
Newcastle College, where I learnt to wank.
Yeah, start there next Friday. Maybe I'll find myself.
But yeah, was it the same in your schools, like in terms of like things like that? Like,
I remember a girl just talking about how she watched porn, and we were in sixth form, and I remember just being really shook, and I was just like, "Whoa, you're cool," and that happens. It just wasn't on my radar that it was something that even existed or happened. And I look back now and I'm like, oh, that's sad.
yeah.
And I find out like all these people sort of found out about masturbation really naturally, and like kind of, when they were young kids, it just was like this thing that just sent them to sleep. It was just this thing that felt really nice. And now I'm a bit older, I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I look back and I was like, oh, yeah, you were 16 and really shocked then. And 16 is quite old, I think, actually, to be shocked about that. But
Well, I mean, like, also, like, regardless of whether you, like, did it yourself, like, just lasses talking about it. I almost felt like it was, like, dangerous territory. You didn't know if, like, someone was going to call you an absolute freak. You didn't know if, like, if you would be shunned. You know what I mean? Like,
Or if all the boys would fancy you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you'd...
Or call you slag.
Yeah. You would have no idea. Like, I just felt like lasses talking about it.
Well, I feel like us as a group nowadays do really like to shock as much as we can, because it's fun. But I remember when you're younger, for me anyway, you're just desperately spending every day trying to be as normal and quiet and in the corner and unnoticed as possible, at the fear that someone might call you frigid or a slag. And both were shit, but you couldn't really get around it, so you just kind of... Whereas now...
Pick one.
Aye. We've picked one. It's the latter.
we all chose slag.
But yeah, obviously it's not like that now. Like, I think talking about that stuff with me mates now is just, there's nothing shameful about it whatsoever, because I think the narratives change as you get older, don't they? Because you start hanging around in different circles and... Well,
and maybe it's not just an age thing. Maybe it's like society that we're in at the minute is a lot more sex positive, it feels. Than when we were younger. Like, I think people are more open about stuff, and like gender and queerness and stuff like that is far more, well, you'd hope, widely accepted.
It could be the thing that, like, in our circles it's incredible. There will be corners of like society where it's not. But yeah, I do know what you mean. I like, when I was preparing for this podcast, I was trying to find the Shout magazine and the Look magazine archives. I was like trying to find like old copies of like them magazines we used to read when we were younger, because I remember in those magazines, in the like naughty sex tips page at the back, was that it was all about what your man would like, which obviously, is not at all inclusive in terms of like having same-sex partners or whatever.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But also, I mean, like, Jesus Christ, like, what a way to give young women a complex that like there's no need.
I remember reading one, and it was what piercings you should or should not get to get a boyfriend, and it was like a cool little nose ring is sexy and hip, but like, don't get your belly button done because then you're a slag. Like, it was like this list of what you couldn't have.
Yeah, because sometimes it wasn't even about sex tips. Sometimes it was about like men reveal their top 10 turn-offs that you would never guess. And it's like being too funny.
We're all fun.
And I was like, shit.
I remember them, and I remember reading one that was like, boys don't like girls who wear glasses. And for reference, I've worn glasses since the age of 7, and
little blind
that
baby.
really hurt. It really hurt, and I'm very tall as well, so it was all just quite painful. But yeah, it does, and I think it's like, actually, if you're reading that at a young age, you're told that that's wrong and that's something that you should change about yourself. And
you literally can't.
And I literally, I'm not going to get any kind of surgery because I can't afford it. But yeah, and I also think as well, when I remember reading those like sex tips or whatever in Cosmo, and I don't know if you remember Position of the Week in Cosmo.
Mm-hmm.
I remember
What, like sex position of the
yes,
week?
would have Position of the
And
Week.
then wouldn't they have Barbies doing it?
With Barbie dolls.
What the fuck?
I remember my friends on a Saturday would go to my friend's house and would like recreate Position of the Week. Which I look back now and I'm like, that's quite...
With Barbies or
no,
you
no, with
two?
each other, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Would wear clothes and stuff. It's just...
I mean,
I'm not gay or anything.
just a smidgen.
So we'd go to someone's house and would try it out.
Yeah. Oh God, do you remember when you were that age and like, there's something about you recreating Position of the Week in a very kind of investigative way with your pal, which I think is like so like sweet because don't get me wrong, I never recreated Position of the Week. But I'll try it. I'll try it sometimes. I will. But like, yeah, when like mates were first getting boyfriends and stuff, and you were like doing stuff, and like the way that you would talk about it with your pals would be an incredibly kind of like they're essentially drawing a diagram to show you what happened. You know when you see them blueprints of like making a new house,
Yeah.
and there's like
Sims.
there's like a bird's eye view, and there's like a cross section, and there's like what it looks like from the front.
I love it when people say, when people are like, did you shag? And they're like, everything but. Like, what's everything but? Or everything else, but no shagging.
I remember like having a scale. Does anybody remember a scale from school? We just really repressed Catholic girls. I don't know, but I feel like that's coming out. But we had like a scale because I don't know if anyone's seen Angus Thongs and Perfect Snogging. Terrible film, but we
Brilliant
would kind of
Brilliant look though.
Brilliant. To be fair, it is brilliant when she dresses up as an olive. I think I felt very seen.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah, we've all been here. But yeah, they had like a scale, so it'd be like 1 is holding hands, but like we kind of did it, but like went to like 20 or something. I can't remember what all the steps were.
Yeah.
I had a list of everyone I snogged, and then if we did anything more, I put a little star next to it. And then if it was sex, 2 stars. Should really hunt that out.
Yeah.
I had a list of everyone that I had slept with, and then I got a new phone.
Can't remember any of them.
Nah, not a clue.
Oh, well.
If you're out there, call in. Let us know.
Oh, go on, Lydia. Sharing is caring.
Over lockdown, I wrote a poem to everyone I'd had sex with. I'd wrote like love letters to everyone I'd fucked.
Oh my. And did you give them to them?
No, fuck no.
Did they get like a stanza each, or was it like
There was a couple of lines, just about the time or like defining features for me.
Oh, right, okay. So like a haiku each.
Aye.
Just a short one.
Lovely balls.
Why did you like foot jobs?
Must check in.
Would do again.
But it was quite a cathartic experience.
Yeah, that sounds nice.
Just sound like a dick. I think,
That
writing
does
a
sound
poem.
cathartic. No. That's how you get it out.
Very nice. It was nice to also just look back in a positive way and laugh about stuff as well. It's really nice.
And I think you've kind of got to look back on them years when you were figuring stuff out. You've got to look back on them a bit endearingly, don't you? Because sometimes I think about like when I was like a lass and like, going through puberty and like fancying everyone. And I think about all the things I tried to do to make myself more fanciable and stuff, and like, flirting with people at parties and stuff. And you look back on it and you cringe because you're like, because it was just so uncomfortable at the time. But I think you've got to look back on it with a bit of, baby me, working it out.
Yeah.
Like as if you were looking back at like how you'd treat your daughter or your little sister or something.
Yeah.
Look at it like, it's cute, isn't it? Doesn't matter.
Something I wrote down for this was big tits equals massive slag.
Yeah.
Because is you were saying that's what it was like for you in school?
Yeah, I wrote a big Facebook status about this like a few
love to
years
read
ago,
that.
and it was
I remember
basically that like, how come if you've got bigger boobs you're automatically a slag if you wear a vest top, whereas like women who have smaller boobs, love them, but women who have smaller boobs like, you can wear whatever you want, go out in just a bralette and jeans and it's fashionable. But if a larger breasted lady went out in a bralette and jeans, I was like, oh, she's fucking asking for it, fucking little fucking slag.
She's throwing it about.
Throwing it about, and it's like, I can't help if me cleavage touches me chin, all right? It's not my fault. I'm just trying to cool down, you know? I've just never found it fair that like larger, even like, it's the same with like, you know, curvier women, like can't wear, you know, tight dresses or whatever because it's like, oh, you got your arse out, and it's like, no, I'm wearing like a pencil dress. You know, it's not my fault. This is the way clothes fit me.
Yeah, I sometimes felt like in school, tits were a thing where you just couldn't win.
Yeah,
You just
you
couldn't fucking win. Because I remember the lasses with like big tits. I don't know, they often had like big personalities.
Thank you. I had double D's by year 9.
But as in like, sometimes felt like, oh bless them, like I kind of feel like they felt like they had to have personalities as big as their tits.
I love that.
But like, as in like, there was kind of a sense of like, oh, people are going to be like, kind of talking about me because I've got massive tits and everyone can see it. So
You cannot be meek.
yeah, so I've got to be like this
massive
big
tits.
personality. But then also the small titted women repping, like it was, oh God, it was just, it was just so embarrassing. It was so frustrating because you just felt like you were so behind. And yeah, you just couldn't win. You couldn't, no one had, well, no lass ever felt like they had the right size tits, did they?
No.
You know what I mean?
But I still think that's still just the case today. It's like now it's really fashionable to have small Kate Moss kind of tiny boobs, no bra. Oh, you can see my nipple.
But then like 90s, it was like massive, like rock solid face tits.
Huge.
All of
Kate
which I
Price
just
tits.
love all of them.
Me too.
They're all lovely.
all of
Yeah,
them,
they are really nice.
I think it must be hard being a man and not being able to experience that. Even though everyone's always looking at you all the time and they're really annoying, you hate them all the time. When I'm alone with myself, I think
It's nice to look at, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice to hold.
I've always got a hand on one of mine. I have to check myself actually when
She's
I'm
got
out
a
in
hand on
public.
it right now, ladies and gentlemen. And non-binary people.
Well, you know, like how sometimes like lads like walk around like with their hands down their pants and they just don't think anything of it. You sometimes see them walking around.
Disgusting.
But the thing is, I can sometimes have a hand on my tit without even realising.
I sometimes walk around with my hand down my pants. Not doing anything. I like to rest it in the waistband.
Yeah.
So that it,
that is a
it's a nice little pocket.
tender spot.
Yeah, like on my belly.
Hello, this is Sharon from Save the Donkeys. Am I speaking to a Mr. What there, please? Fantastic. I was just wondering if I could snatch a few moments of your time. Lovely. Good evening, Mr. Worm. And how are we today? You feeling good, are ya? You sound great. Some might go as far to say chipper, elated, on top of the world. Just good. Now, Mr. Worm, I'd like you to imagine you're a donkey on a beach in Torquay. Have you ever been to Torquay, Mr. Worm? Lovely stuff. So you'll be aware of the gorgeous beaches, the silky white sand, the warm blue waters lapping at your toes, the near-dead donkeys forced to carry near-dead tourists across parched, dry land. Tourists so disgustingly fat they can't see their toes for all the Burger Kings in Europe. You are this donkey, Mr. Worm. Your fur is worn. You've got great ooze and welts under your saddleback. Your clip-clopping hooves are worn down to the cigarette stubs. In 5 minutes, a great lard-arse American twat is going to plonk himself on that sticky, scabby back of yours, and you're going to drag that cunt along the shorefront. He dribbles ice cream down your mane and farts loudly. You're almost certain he follows through, but there's just no telling. You weep. You're not a little bitch, are you? A little bitch, Mr. Wedham, a little bitch. You won't stand for this shite, will ya? You're not gonna let these fat lumps of meat make a tit of ye now, are ya? I thought not. You're a man. A man's man. My strong man. I'm imagining you now, my love, as donkey. My strong donkey. Your soft fur beneath me thighs. I give you a gentle nudge. You've broken into a trot. We've left those great heaving lumps of anus behind. I can feel you beneath me, Mr. Wedham. Can you feel me? Can you feel me, Mr. Wedham? We're off together along the lapping shores of Torquay. Oh. That's all right, my pet, it's no bother. You grab yourself a tissue, my love, clean yourself up. Do you love me, Mr. Wedham? Do you love me? Lovely stuff. So I'll pop you down for our golden ass membership at $29.99 a month. Mr. Wedham, you've been a delight. Ta-ra now, pet. Bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye.
Just back to tits a minute. When I was, because I had larger breasts in school, I was always very like self-conscious of them, and I didn't like them at all. And then I got my nipples pierced, and now I'm like, I have the best boobs in the world. And I think that like it's funny how like something so small, like a little piercing, or I got my sternum tattooed as well, so that I like my belly more, and I have. And it's weird that like little small things like that.
Rebellious acts of
And
love.
also what's interesting is that that's for you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like obviously like sexual partners will see it, but like...
But hardly ever.
But mainly that's for you. You know what I mean?
I think it is, and that's why I did them. Like, it wasn't because it's the same as like, I remember when I got my tongue pierced and I was 14, and like everyone's like, oh, I got tongue pierced, you can give blowjobs better. I was like, no, like I'm still a virgin. Like, leave us alone. And it was for me to be like more sort of like myself, because I had that had like a whole thing about like not having a clue who I was or who I fancied or who, you know, if it was right or wrong or whatever. Like, I remember being in like year 7 or 8, and I had quite like a short bobbed haircut, and I was a bit plump, and I remember being called a dyke, and I was like, I don't like it. I don't want to be a dyke. So then like from then on, I went on this like rampage of like trying to prove to myself that I was like heterosexual and feminine and like all of this. But then like doing small things like getting my tongue pierced or like dyeing my hair purple, like as a way of kind of rejecting that, but also wanting to be it so badly.
Yeah.
It was just weird. Yeah. But have something else to say about that, is that I feel like lust can help people to like figure out, well, it does, it helps people to figure out their sexuality. So like I remember fancying like women when I was younger, but like it was more of like an admiration. That's what I told myself anyway. It was like more of an admiration that like I wanted to be like them and stuff, and then being like, no, that's wrong, you can't think that. And then like when I found the right label for me of like pansexual, when I found that, it was like the only time I was kind of like, all right, okay, it is okay to fancy everyone that I see and like find everyone attractive, and like that was okay. And I think that like if I wasn't so aware and like accepting of my own lust, then I would never have been in that position. And while we were having lunch, Katie asked us, Izzy, you know how you're not dating a man anymore? She was like, do you still find them attractive? Like, what is it about them that you find attractive? I was like, don't really think I find men attractive anymore. But then I was like, it's weird, isn't it? Like, I can't remember the last time I lusted over a man, but then I started trying to look for it, and
But you had a really good response though.
What did I say?
You said you loved what you find attractive about a man is when he lets his lass do anything she wants.
Yeah, that was it.
That's it.
Yeah, and like not get jealous or like weird about it.
Like you said, when you see a bloke taking pictures of his girlfriend that she's asked him to take, you find that attractive.
Yeah, I do. And like just like letting her go out and have a nice time and not like ringing her every 5 minutes because you think she's cheating on you and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Like, yeah.
That was lushes.
That was
That was
lush.
proper lush. Yeah.
I'm sweating.
What do you feel is like? How would you define the differences between like being queer and being pansexual? What do you think there's? I'm just not sure.
So I think that like being pansexual, to me, pansexual means like I say, I don't really look at people and say like, oh, like I can appreciate people for how they look and like, you know, having a nice dress sense or they smell nice or whatever. But like I don't necessarily find people attractive based on their bodies. It's about the person that they are and like how they act and what they do and like their energy and like soul as a person. It sounds really wangy, but that's how it is to me. It's like you fancy someone's personality rather than their bits, and the bits are just a bonus. That's what I think like pansexual is. And to me, being queer is like, that's the term I like to use like if I'm questioning or I'm sort of, I know I'm different and I know that like I'm not a cis het person. I'm not a cis het female woman. I'm not that, but I don't know what else I am. So therefore I'm queer, because it's kind of that umbrella term. And it's like that, you know, for the people who don't have a label or don't feel like they fit into a label or fit into a box, it's just like, I'm queer.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of how I felt before I found the term pansexual. It was like, oh, well, I'm definitely queer, but I don't think I'm gay, and I'm definitely not really bi because I don't fancy them on the same level. You know, it was very strange and like quite difficult to figure out where I actually fit in there.
Queer feels like quite a political term, doesn't it? It's kind of like we've taken that word and turned it around and made it positive. And
there's like a lot of politics around that word in the queer LGBTQ plus community, because like a lot of people still don't like it, and it's especially the like older people in that community. It's like because it was such a bad slur for a long time that it meant like you're queer, you're weird, you're bad kind of thing, like you're different and it's not okay, because that's what they associate it with. They still don't really like it and choose not to use that term.
Claim it,
But I think that our generation, like people who are, I don't know, let's say 40 and below maybe, like find it a bit more empowering to claim that back. It's like at the moment there's a similar debate going on in the gay community of the word faggot, and if fag and things like that is something that a gay man should use, should take back that term as like a thing of empowerment. But there's obviously still a lot of like, there's a lot of history around all of those terms that are bad, but you know, you're gonna get that when you're not cis het, you know, and or Christian or whatever. Like it all comes from the church and like being different and all of that stuff. So
Back to Mary Magdalene. Really.
back to Mary Magdalene. Full circle.
That is one of the most eloquent ways I have ever heard pansexual and bisexual differentiated. Because I know sometimes I know a couple of people who identify as bi, and for them they're like, oh well, that's for me that's the same as being pansexual. Which like to be fair to them, they're not saying like, oh, that needs to be the same for everyone else, but for them they're like, it kind of means the same thing. And I know that's also a bit of a debate in the LGBT
it is
community, like the whether there's a difference between them. But I really like the way that you
I think that the debate between pansexual and bisexual is this whole non-binary and trans bit, because the thing with being bisexual is that some pansexuals say, well, that means that you don't see trans women as women and you don't see trans men as men, and you also completely invalidate all of the non-binary community, and what does that mean? But then it's also like a lot of bisexual people say, but trans women are women, so I still fancy women, and trans men are men, so I still fancy men. Why are you trying to like separate that? And I guess it's this non-binary thing, but to me, it's not about gender. It's about personality. It's about the soul and the person that you are, and that's what I think pansexual is, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah. From everything you've just said, I think there's quite a lot of like the communities figuring it out together, isn't there? Of how to make space for everyone, and how to be inclusive of everyone.
Yeah. And also to like respect the people who don't want a label, but are still part of that community. Like, you don't necessarily have to say you are something. It's a conversation I had with my mum not that long ago, because she wanted to know what the parallels were between drag and non-binary, and how, it all comes together kind of thing. And she was saying that, she was thinking about what she might be nowadays if the labels were available to her. I found that really sweet. Like, it is that sense of, well, some people don't like it. And at a point, I didn't want to have a label. I've never technically came out, or whatever that means. Like, I've never announced it in a way that a lot of people feel that they have to. But I still like the term because it helps me understand what's going on in my own head. But to respect those who don't want a label.
I feel like I get a bit of imposter syndrome with stuff like that sometimes, because like recently I've been thinking like I probably am definitely queer, because like you is like I fancy every
single person,
everyone in the whole world,
even me.
But especially you, Jackie. Like, literally, I'd fuck you all, like the drop of a hat. But like,
Same.
I find like comfort in the idea of queerness, in the sense that like it's such an umbrella term, like you said, is that it doesn't. I don't feel like I need to explain it too much. But at the same time, I find it really confusing to maybe be in that category. And then maybe when people ask me, I feel like someone asked me recently if I was queer, and I was like, oh, well, yeah, why not? Yeah. So I was just like, I haven't really thought about it. I don't really know.
Yeah.
But I do fancy everyone. I do sleep with everyone. And so maybe that's what that is. But what does that mean?
I think it's just like you need the space, and that's why it's important that like we do respect people who don't want labels or haven't figured it out yet, because there is so much pressure to be like, which letter in LGBTQ plus are you? Like, which one are you? And it's like, actually no, like there needs to be space for people who don't know and don't really know if they do want to know.
LGBTQ plus question mark.
Yeah.
But I think like because obviously the LGBTQ plus the plus is a massive acronym.
Yeah, it's
I'm not sure
huge.
how many letters. There must be 20 or something. But I think as well, one of those letters is questioning. And I sometimes think actually we don't give enough space to questioning. I say that, but like I think actually it's okay. Like that's totally a way to be.
Absolutely.
And you could die questioning, you know,
Yeah.
and I
And
think
that's fine.
it's part of the acronym for a reason.
It's a legitimate
it's important.
state to be in,
It's a really legitimate state to be in. And because finding the letter that works for you is hard. And
Yeah,
it's also really complex as well. And you might have 2 or 3 letters. You know what I mean? It's not as simple as that.
I don't think I've found all my letters yet. I know one for defo.
There's more to come.
Yeah, there's more. Stay tuned.
One time for a job, they were wanting to hire someone who kind of had experiences in line with the character, who was bi, and they asked me if I was bi, and I actually like freaked out a bit. I was like, oh God, well, you know, have you ever seen Peep Show? Have you seen Peep Show? Have you seen when Mark's trying to get into that gay club? And And Olivia Colman turns around to him and is like, oh, by the way, if the bouncers ask you, Mark, just tell them that you're gay. And he's like, what? and then he like goes up to the bouncer and they're like, you been here before, pal? And he's like, what, sorry? And they're like, are you gay, pal? And then he's like, oh, well, I kind of had a thing in high school at one point, but, sexuality is sort of a spectrum, isn't it? When she asked me that, I kind of felt a little bit like Mark. I was like, oh, well, sexuality is sort of a bit of a spectrum, isn't it? But, like, I mean, I've been with my boyfriend since I was 18, and we're incredibly happy, and I love him very much, and... he's a corker, him. He really is.
He really is.
He really is.
Love you, Jackson.
We love you, Jackson.
Love you, Jackson.
But I remember when I got asked that question, I was just like, I'm incredibly happy in the relationship that I'm in. But if you were to ask me for an honest answer to that question, I don't know what the answer is. I've been in a relationship since I've been 18. Like, I mean, maybe as if I hadn't, I might have, like, explored other routes. And, but, like, I just found that so difficult to answer because I was like, oh, my God, do I need to declare myself straight? Do I need to declare my... I don't know. It's, I mean, like, without a doubt, like, I've been in a heterosexual relationship for a long time. So, like, I definitely, like, live life as a heterosexual person, and I have all the privilege that comes with that and everything. But it was weird being like asked
interrogated on it.
Like it was weird being asked to define it, to define something that like I was like, well, oh God, that's actually that. And then it got me thinking, like, is that a straightforward answer for absolutely anyone? Do you know what I mean? Like, would anyone have a straightforward answer to that?
I don't think so.
Middle-aged men in denial.
Are you gay?
No.
Don't like anything up my bum.
Don't even talk about my bum.
Honestly, don't put anything up my arsehole.
I'll suck your knob, but...
I mean,
But I don't think that there is, Jackie. And I think as well, it's to know the answer to that takes a bit of time. And I think time is a privilege, and it takes time to have like a soul search, and like to really work stuff out. And I think throughout the pandemic, I've seen a lot of people questioning their gender and their sexuality, and because they were allowed that luxury of time. The luxury of time. And I think if someone's asking that, they've possibly had a bit of a luxury of time maybe, or have had also the resources to even know what they are. Like, we all work in the arts where we can meet someone who's pansexual, we can meet someone who's trans, and we can just have a conversation with them, and that's brilliant. But we're also very privileged to be in this very liberal, open, arty world. And I think,
I find... yes, because when I worked at my last job, I'm not going to name it. When I worked at my last job, it's really funny because like when I first started there, I had a boyfriend, and then that ended, and then I like started seeing someone who was born a female but is non-binary, but has breasts and long eyelashes. So like people would come up to us when my partner would come into work and be like, so are you gay now? And I'd be like, no. I was like, I never was gay. And they'd be like, so what are you? Bisexual? I'd be like, no. And they'd be like, so what are you then? And I'd be like, I'm pansexual. And they'd like crumble because I'd never heard of such a term. Like, and it was just insane. And then I'd have to spend like 10 minutes trying to explain what pansexuality is, and how just because I'm dating someone who's born female doesn't mean I'm a lesbian. And like how actually it's a lot wider than that. The whole, sexuality is a bit of a, isn't it?
bit of a spectrum in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, it was very much like that. But like, it's those moments where like, it's almost like a reality check of like, actually, you know what? Not everyone knows what it is or what it means and stuff.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Actually, like it's totally crap that sometimes people are asked to kind of like constantly explain themselves, and that's not okay. But I suppose if someone's asking, I don't know, I'm thinking about like maybe people who don't run in the circles that we do, like artsy circles. That you see it on Twitter, you see it like
Twitter.
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 Theatre Twitter can get in the bin.
No, but you're right though, Jackie. It's at least they're trying to understand it, and I do appreciate it, which is why I don't really get angry at them when those sort of questions pop up. But if someone's arsey at me around it, or it's like, that's not a real thing, I'll be like, fuck you. Yes, it is.
What I really admire about you is that you're just one of these people who is able to say I just don't really want to talk about that right now.
Yeah.
Or that's a bit rude to just start talking like that, So I feel like if someone did come and kind of overstep the line with you've demonstrated that you have the tools to kind of deal with people like that and kind of sift those people from the people who are just don't quite get it.
Genuinely want to know. Absolutely, yeah.
This is a nice little segue into one of my favourite Izzy stories. Do you remember when we went to Edinburgh just to see shows?
I knew you were going to say this.
Yeah. We went to Edinburgh just to see. We weren't performing. We just went up for a couple of days, and we'd just come out of a theatre, I think, and we were standing in a big huddle working out where we were going to go next, and this lad did this thing which
this man did this thing,
a boy.
And this man did this thing which any men listening might recognise it if they know their friends do it or if they do it, but every lass out there will recognise this. He saw us, a huddle of women, and he just kind of put his arms out in an eagle span and was like, "Hello there, lasses," and he was gonna come over and he was gonna put his arms around us and he was gonna I guess he expected us to be kind of fey and "Oh, hello, ye God, aren't you a laugh?" And before he could even get near us, Iz was just like, "Don't you dare lay a finger on anyone in this group." And it was like she pressed the pause button on the telly.
Didn't he? Mid arm span, like Christ on the cross.
He did. He stopped like Christ, and he was like, "Oh, all right." And then just honestly, the 180 that he did, he was just like, "Oh, right, sorry, yeah, well, you having a nice time?" You having and she was like, "We're having a lovely time, thank you." And he was like, "All right, okay, well, you enjoy the rest of your weekend then, yeah."
No, but then he was like, because there was a bit when he went, "Yeah, he pointed at me, and he was like, "Yeah, you're posh, you must be from Gosforth." And then Iz turned around and went, "Yeah, none of us are from Gosforth."
None of us are from Gosforth. Read.
Wash your mouth out.
Honestly,
I'm from Bensham.
And he just backed away.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, okay."
Really slowly,
Sorry,
just
lasses.
backed away.
I was like, "Aye."
But yeah, I loved you so much then. I really loved you.
It's one of my legendary moments.
One of many.
One of many.
Oh, no, I'm in a pickle here. A real pickle. I'll tell you what, if there is a pickle, I am always in it. I only pulled Olivia for a chat, and then Celeste starts shaking like a shitting duck.
He said, "I only pulled her for a chat. My chats last 15 minutes, not 3 hours, and they certainly don't end with a fingering on the terrace. It's me or her. And if he mentions pickles to me one more time, he'll be sleeping with the dishes, if you know what I mean."
You know me, I would never judge a book by its colour, but the way that Olivia has stolen James with a D from Celeste is muggy. It's muggy.
Oh my God, I was not expecting that. I can't believe I've only been in here 4 hours and I'm already in a love triangle. What is my life? Why does this always happen to me?
Nah, Celeste is all knickers and no fur coat. She's kicking off because he's chatting to another lass. But somehow it's all right for her to wank Bentley off outside of a challenge. I get we're all here for a reason. But that's 1 rule for her and 2 rules for him.
Celeste ain't got a leg to complain with, mate. I won't go into details, but when she wanked me off, it wasn't like she would think about James with a D. She'd think about me, Bentley with a B.
They were both 3 sheeps to wind after that drinking challenge. We've all been there. Give her a break, man.
I know her and James with a D have had a rocky start, but Since she made him that iced coffee yesterday morning, she's been nothing but loyal to him.
Celeste's got to understand, Rome wasn't built at the end of the day. I need to explore all my options. And to be honest with you, at this point, I wouldn't trust her with a barge pole.
I just feel like he's pulled the wool out from under my eyes.
I just hate all the drama. Times like this, I always think about that John Lennon song, Don't Worry, Be Happy.
Like, obviously we're all in here for a reason, but I've always said that I don't want to step on anyone else's cart. I'm a girl's girl, through and thorough.
Like I said to James with a D, you can't make an omelette without making the whole world blind.
I mean, Celeste is absolutely distraught. So if she needs a shoulder to cry on, I want to be there for her. But James with a D is like my number one best mate in here, so it's apples and oranges, really.
There is just something between me and the new girl, Olivia. I don't know how to explain it. I can't quite put my finger in it.
He better give me a fucking good reason for cracking on with her.
I think it's because she's got brown hair.
Say what you want about Celeste, but when she loves hard. James with a D needs to just give her a straight answer. That is not rocket surgery.
Like, obviously I feel sorry for Celeste, but I owe it to myself and owe it to my heart to see where things go with James with a D.
Like, we're all in here for a reason, you know. Maybe James with D just needs to strike while iron's on.
After Celeste kicked over the fire pit, I just don't think there's any way she's going to take James with a D back.
Obviously.
Obviously.
Obviously. Obviously.
Obviously.
Obviously.
Obviously. People in glass houses shouldn't throw birds.
We were talking about, like, shaking off that shame of lust and all of the kind of the insecurities you were given as, like, a young woman or a young, like, female presenting person, about, like, your sexuality and your desires and all that. And how actually as you get older, you start to realise that sex is actually just about enjoying yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And how
it's meant to be a laugh.
Yeah.
You're never told that when you're younger. You just think it's this thing that happens to you on top of you.
When you're married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Close your eyes and think of England.
Yeah.
All that.
You poor Catholics, you.
Oppressed, but also the oppressors.
Oppressed oppressors.
But yeah, realising just how liberating it is when you realise actually that sex is actually just about enjoying yourself, and that can come in so many forms. That can come in like something mad and steamy, or or that can come in like quite daft sex where you accidentally are like elbowing each other in the stomach or something because it's all fumbly and weird.
Or it's like yourself. Like, you know how like this whole idea of virginity is that basically a man puts his penis in a woman. That's the classic idea of someone taking someone else's virginity. But then like no one ever talks about, well, non-heteronormative sex or having sex with yourself, like wanking and stuff. Like I went to an Anne Summers party when I was 16.
Did you?
It was so much fun. It was at my mate Claudia's house. Shout out to Claudia. Best party ever. And we had this Anne Summers party and it was so fun. And like we did all the but we were all dead shy still, and like, you know, I hadn't been having sex for very long and we were all a bit nervous but like really excited. And every single one of us there was like, oh my God, I don't wank. And then went and bought a bullet off the woman secretly. There was like 8 of us there, like secretly went and bought our first bullet, which I still didn't use for years. And I like came across it in my knitted drawer one day and I thought, let's give this a go. And oh my God, weeks I spent in that room rolling around and like, alone having the best time ever. And one time I genuinely had like some lovely tea. I ate some really nice pasta that I'd made, and then I wore some really nice knickers, and then I just went upstairs to my bedroom and just wanked the night away. Like And that was like probably the most precious sex I've ever had.
And it was just with you?
As an individual.
Yeah.
Like really enjoying yourself and your body.
I think that like a lot of that's like quite common for people with their first toy is like that, like I used to be an Aunt Summers party ambassador, so I did those parties.
You did?
I did. And I worked in the shop for a while. But I feel like because it's so like taboo and like kept a secret, then like it's insane the amount of not even young women but like middle-aged women who come to these parties and have not a fucking clue what a dildo is and what the difference between a vibrator and a dildo is, and like all this stuff. Disgraceful. But
what
like,
are they teaching them nowadays? Honestly?
but it
Catholic
is.
school.
It's like women aren't told how to have a nice time in pleasure. Like,
But I think even Aunt Summers like play up to that sort of stereotype a little bit of it being a bit taboo. Like I remember going on their website and they talk about like when you order from them that it comes in discreet packaging. Discreet packaging.
yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I don't know, I'm always a bit like, why do you do that?
There are lots of women though who wouldn't order a sex toy if they felt like
If it said sex toy on the box.
if it came in clear packaging. Like, there is no like I think a lot of women wouldn't order a sex toy if anyone in the postal service could work out that they were ordering a
But
sex toy.
that's to do with the taboo around sex in the first place, you know, and it's a shame. I'm sure plenty of men would order cock rings if they were see-through packaging. They wouldn't fucking care, would they?
I think it's even a bit more taboo for men to have sex toys. Like,
Really?
I would say so. Like, because I think the idea of
depends
like
what kind of sex toy it is.
yeah, like if it's like a fleshlight or like a cock ring or something, like.
I feel like I'm at a sleepover.
Why was it fleshlight that has been the first thing that's made us all
that is a bloody
crumble?
disgusting word though.
I know.
It is a strange, like,
Fleshlight.
It is strange, but yeah, I think for men to have a sex toy, it's almost a bit.
I know what you mean.
It feels almost more taboo, but maybe that's just because as a society, like sex is just so readily available for men in a way that it's not for women. So maybe it's something to do with that kind of pressure, and maybe it is seen as feminine to own sex toys, so men don't want to do it.
It's like something the woman sorts out.
Aye. Sort yourself out.
I think that makes a lot of sense. The idea that like a man having a sex toy would be a little bit like there'd be a element of like, oh well, can you not get any, like, you know what I mean? Like among the men.
Especially around cock rings. Like I remember an ex-partner getting a cock ring, and I'd told everyone because that's what I do, and but in a positive way. I was excited about it, but someone being like, "What, can he not get it up?" And like finding it hilarious that he like bought this thing, and I was like, "What's got now to do with that?"
Just give you an erection.
Like he thought it was for like old men.
But even like cock rings, the best ones, have like a little vibrator on them, and like it like kind of can stimulate your clit
And your balls at the same
and
time.
balls. So it's like interesting that even though it's a cock ring that's kind of designed for men, there's still an element of
Little
it
bit
that's
for
for
women.
women, and like, oh, actually, this one's for you, hun.
Yeah.
But like,
So
those ears, all yours.
I think getting older and realising that actually the most powerful and wonderful thing is you and a partner having a nice time, or you having a nice time by yourself. And I know as like I got older, like shaking off some of those insecurities I had from school about like maybe like when I was younger, I used to feel like if I was going to have sex, I had to like look really fit. Do you know what I mean? I had to like...
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. If I was going to be having sex, I didn't have a right if I didn't look good. You know what I mean?
And not a hair on your body.
Yeah.
Hairless.
And like there was almost an element of like if I was having sex, but I hadn't like made myself like a dolphin.
Presented.
And like a dolphin. Sleek and slippery dolphin.
there would be a little bit of me that was like feeling a bit embarrassed, a bit like
I know exactly
oh,
what
I
you
haven't put in the effort here. Your friends would be saying, I remember one of my mates saying to me at a party, oh, Jackie, honestly, lads are never going to want to shag you if you don't completely shave your fanny. And I was like...
What a good friend. Love it.
Oh, gosh.
But, like, she was saying it. She
was being helpful, was she?
She was caring.
It was like banter, you know what I mean?
Right.
But still, I remember thinking like, oh my God, there's another feckin' thing I've got to add to my list.
But I still feel that now. Like, I genuinely nowadays, maybe because I don't have one like consistent partner that I feel super comfortable with, I still find myself like genuinely apologising about things. Like, oh, I'm really sorry that my bikini line's a bit wild. Or like, I don't know, apologising for things that I don't believe I should ever apologise for. And I don't even really believe it as it comes out my mouth. It's just like this thing that I do.
It's almost like you've got to say it. You've got to say it as a prerequisite, just so that they know that you know that it's
it's like you want to tell everyone about the things you hate about yourself before they decide that for themselves. Like when I hated my arms when I was younger, I'd meet people and be like, look at my fat hairy arms. There we go. Pleased to meet you, I'm Emma. Because it was like, if I say it first, they won't be saying it behind my back.
Yeah.
Like I've already won.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I do. I agree. But I also had a partner once who I've never been with someone who couldn't give less of a fuck, but just adored us. Like just absolutely adored us. He was a wee bit older than me and had like, I think over 100 sexual partners.
Ooh.
Yeah. But like,
Do you get a letter from the Queen then?
but it was, but I think as well because I wasn't in any way bothered about that, and like that didn't bother me, and like it was the first time where I was like, do you know when you have sex on your period or something, and like it was like, oh, I'm on my period, but he just didn't give a fuck, and like he would like he just pulled my tampon out for me.
Legend.
And then went down on us.
Oh, true.
Someone who like we were just in a bit of a situationship. He knows who he is.
if you're listening.
Situation.
Situationship. But like he was lovely, and like we ended on very, very nice, kind terms. But I think being with someone who'd like seen it all.
Yeah.
And then when I was with a different partner afterwards, who was a lot less like
Sexually experienced.
He was a lot less sexually experienced, and also a little bit more bothered. A little bit more like, oh, okay, you're on your period. Well, look, we can have sex, but I'm not going to go down on you. Do you know, and then having that, it was like, oh,
it is
I've had this, and now I've got this, and it's. I think like that experience was so liberating. To just have someone who had seen everything and done everything and just thought the world, and just absolutely thought the world of us, and just was like, oh, love your bush. Do you like mine? Do you know? Like it was really. It was. Good.
Yeah. That's what I never understood that. Like when I was younger and having sex, it's like, why are men so bothered about what women look like when they don't give a fuck what they look like? Like
and they usually look shit.
Yeah, they do. And it's just like, you haven't made any effort, so why should I? Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to say before is the reason I stopped shaving me fanny so early is because my mum told us one time the reason why people get all of the hair off is so that it comes from porn and porn stars, so that they make sure that they don't have crabs. So then because I heard that, I was like, well,
I don't
want crabs, but I also know I don't have crabs, so I don't need to know if I don't have crabs, so I'll just leave it.
Lovely.
There we go.
Yeah.
Lovely.
I feel like there are more simple ways to let people know you don't have crabs than to constantly be shaving your fanny.
Well, yeah, you just say
people I don't have crabs.
I just don't. Yeah. Hi, I'm Jackie. I don't have crabs.
Yeah.
I remember my first pube, and I found it. I looked down one day and I had just one on my fanny, and I was in the kitchen. Well, no, I don't think I was looking at my fanny in the kitchen, but I then went to the kitchen to do something, and I was weeping because I never wanted to grow up when I was young. I never wanted to
Bit of a
get
Peter
older.
Pan complex.
I was a Peter Pan, and my mum walked in and was like, "What's wrong? What's happened?" And I was like, "I've found a hair on me fanny. And I cried, and obviously she looked gleeful because it was hilarious to watch, I imagine. And she was like, would you like to use my nail scissors to give it a little trim? And I was like, oh yeah. So she gave me a little nail scissors, and I just gave that one hair a trim, handed it back, and I was happy after that. But it was now to do with crabs or pubes being bad. It was, I don't want to be a woman, I just want to be a little girl forever.
Well, yeah, I remember like when you first started to go through puberty. Yeah, God,
we could be here for hours.
Throwback Thursday.
In fact, should we even start that topic? But yeah, no, I did that. I totally get that, Emma. That kind of like gear change of like, oh God, I'm just playing out at the moment. Do I have to like?
I haven't got time for pubes. I'm playing out.
I'm playing out, and then I've got to be in at 6 for me tea. Like, yeah. Something that we're also chatting about is that as like a young person, there is a precedent that, especially if you're a lass, that it is just so easy to pull nowadays. Or like lasses, like it is just so easy to get a shag, and there's almost a sense that like women hold all the cards, but actually that can be quite isolating if actually you're someone who is struggling to get a shag, you know what I mean? Or like maybe it's like that way of connecting up with partners, you know, the Hinge and the Bumble and, you know, the online stuff isn't quite for you. It can make you feel a little bit
isolated
and like you're not part of the young culture, you know what I mean? But yeah, and it's interesting how like it's almost like there's a bit of a 180 in terms of like what we were talking about at school. As like a young person, you had to kind of keep sexuality to yourself almost. And like, you know, if lasses were ever doing stuff, then you know, they were being called a slag. Whereas now it's the case that like there's a precedent that, oh, lasses hold all the cards. And am I making sense?
Oh, you are.
Yeah, I think it's it comes from a biological thing. So obviously men have shitloads of sperm and could impregnate every woman on the planet like 10 times. Just one man can do that. However, women or people with uteruses have only got like, we have one egg a month. So
do you?
Well, like, yeah, I kind of have, you know, you only release one egg a month.
Oh, do you? I thought you released like a couple.
No, I'm sure it's
like
just
this.
one a month.
Is it?
Aye, so you only release, so basically every month you have one chance to get pregnant, pretty much. So this idea that women hold all the cards, biologically it's kind of true, because we have to be very careful with who we give our egg to, because we don't have tons, and then we have to then after 9 months, we're sat, you know, once that egg's gone, you know, it's impregnated.
You've got
that's
to
what you want. Ben en route.
And I know what you mean about being rooted in a biological thing of like, who's she going to pick for a partner? You know, she's who's she going to choose to
give her egg?
Presuming that it's that easy as well.
Yeah, obviously it's rooted in a biological thing, but as we all know, biology is rooted in its damn patriarchy. Yeah. Am I right, ladies?
Am I right?
And I think especially with the kind of incel culture at the minute, I think especially white, cisgendered, heterosexual men have held so many cards and have held all the power for so long. And now that is shifting, and we know that that's really exciting, and we know that that's a really friggin' good thing. But I think because men aren't used to feeling
secondary?
Men aren't used to feeling second best, so now they feel oppressed. And we all can see that that's obviously not the case, because throughout history they've always had their stories told and their voices have always been heard. I think that's kind of where a lot of this like incel culture is rooted.
When I first started like experimenting with like other women and females, I found it really, really hard to talk to women, like, because I'd had no experience or no like knowledge of it. Like before I kind of was exploring my sexuality, like I'd only had sex with men, and like I was very good at it, like, and I'd had compliments on it, and like, you know, I knew how to do it. I kind of felt like I got it down, and you know, and it was that like arrogance about it of like I can have sex with whoever I want because I'm mint. But then when I started like exploring women and like starting to sleep with women and stuff, I was like, one, how the fuck do you talk to women? Because it's so hard, and I'm threatened by all of yous because you're all beautiful and I don't know how to do it. Whereas like I feel like when I'm talking to men, it's like, well, I'm better than you, so it doesn't matter what you know. But like with women on women, it's kind of like, and like you're never told anything about like, I mean, you might be in school now, but you're never told anything about like not heterosexual, what's the other one? Homosexual.
Not a Thomas Moore, anyway.
Yeah, like at my school in particular, you were never told about like anything that isn't a heteronormative relationship. Like you're never told what sex counts as in those kind of relationships. And like when I like first started seeing women, I was like, so can I say I've had sex with a woman even if I haven't used a strap on? Or, you know, there was so many questions about it all, and like I didn't know any of it. And like there's that like still that bit of like insecurity, because especially now that I've been with like my current partner for like nearly 2 years, it's like I don't know if I'm good at it. And it's like that kind of like, yeah, women can have sex with whoever they want if you're having sex with men. And I still feel like there's that sort of like, I can imagine, I like to call them baby lesbians, like people who have just started like female like presenting, or women have like just starting to explore other women and like same-sex relationships and stuff. I just feel like we're all kind of in the position where we're kind of like, I don't know how to do any of this, and I've never been told, and the only way I can find out is through lesbian porn, which is all completely ridiculous and like over the top and things, and like
lesbian porn's just made for men
as
well. It's not like actually made for women at all. It's useless.
It is. It's weird.
I kind of like, I think I'm coming to the conclusion that pretty much any narrative on sex which isn't you just need to be having a nice time is bollocks.
Yeah.
And I think that nice time can be broadened to kind of like enjoying yourself. And even if that's not wanking, even if that's like spending time with yourself in quite a sensual way. Maybe it's like, oh my God, we were talking about this. We were talking about how sometimes enjoying food is one of the most... sensual things ever.
Well, you know, when I did my grotesque burlesque workshop, and I said, write down some free writing the last time you felt sexy, or like an important time recently where you'd felt really sexy and excited, and everyone wrote about something they'd really loved eating, or something, whether what they were wearing, or like when they were with their mates and they felt really funny, or when they were dancing. None of it was about the physical act of sex.
I think anything that anybody tells you about sex and about being desirable and feeling desirable, if anything that anybody ever tells you gives you the sense that you're doing it wrong, I think it's best to just not listen to them, because they're wrong. And actually the most important thing is you enjoying yourself. You know, that I think what I'm trying to say is you enjoying yourself is broader than just actually having sex. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think as well, we look at sex through a patriarchal heteronormative view, which is penis, vagina, go.
In the hole.
And it normally involves
a
man finishing inside of you. It's not golf. Hole in one, really. It involves just penis in vagina, and it often involves a man finishing inside of a woman. And actually, that doesn't even encompass any kind of female pleasure. I think every single woman or non-binary person I know has faked an orgasm.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely faked an orgasm. And I don't know many men who have.
I don't know how they would, to be fair.
But I think
where's it gone?
Yeah, I think a powerful thing for me was like, I'm going to stop faking this.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop pretending that this is in any way doing
Nice.
the great thing for me. It's fine, it's nice, but I'm not getting there. And I think actually saying that, I've been with partners before where I've said, that's not getting there for me. And it's actually really fit. It's really fit to express your desires and to go, can you do this? And then they're like, oh yeah, of course, babe. Anything for you.
Anything for you, babe.
I love you. But yeah, I think stop faking orgasms is I think that for me was quite a big thing.
Hashtag
be the
stop
new-
faking
That's a new
Can that be the new
definition. Stop faking orgasms.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to wrap up. And should we all go around and say what we think our new definition of lust should be, and we'll smush them all together? I think my new definition of lust would be just enjoying yourself, and just if anyone is making you feel like you shouldn't be enjoying yourself, or if anyone is making you feel like your enjoyment isn't that important, well, that's their fucking problem. Honestly, lust is just about enjoying yourself in whatever capacity.
Love it.
Emma, are you?
I'm just gonna say a sentence, and it's gonna be wank yourself off first. That's it.
I like it.
Wank yourself off first.
I like it. Lydia?
Your heteronormative, patriarchal, ableist structures are boring, and my clit is amazing.
Oh, wow.
Click, click, click.
Thanks, guys.
Clit, clit, clit.
Clit, clit, clit.
Clit your fingers.
I think my definition of lust would be a nice snack. Because I feel like that's that lusty feeling, like just you talking about how you had a nice bowl of pasta and then you wank yourself silly.
Yeah.
And like how amazing I felt when we were doing the grotesque burlesque thing and I was eating a chocolate digestive. I've never felt so sexy in my whole life.
I'm so glad.
And it's like, for me, it's like, it really is that, like, it's like euphoric to me. And I've always like fantasized in my head, I've never done it, but about like food and pleasure and things like that. And like, I just feel like it's the same feeling when you have a nice snack or a nice hot meal after a really long day as what it is being in lust. It's like a nice snack.
Yeah. I think that the lust definition is enjoy your snack and have a wank and fuck you.
So the new definition is enjoy your snack,
Have a
wank and fuck you.
Yeah, lust is just, well, you just enjoy.
Do what you want.
You just enjoy yourself, pet.
Enjoy yourself, pet.
And just enjoy yourself, pet.
And there's more than hetero.
Oh, aye.
Enjoy yourself more than hetero.
More than hetero.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Match Maiden 7. Join us next Monday when we'll be taking on Pride. Subscribe to our channel to be the first to listen. You can find the accompanying playlist to this episode on our Spotify. Just search Your Aunt Fanny. We're also at Your Aunt Fanny on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. Sound design and music by Jeremy Bradfield.